All right, let's talk about what makes a great manager. We're going to break down the essential blueprint they all use, the core functions that every single successful leader relies on to build a winning team and get things done.
So let's just jump right in and ask the big question. What does a manager actually do? I mean, beyond the fancy title, the endless meetings, and the mountain of emails, what is the real fundamental job? Well, it turns out it's actually simpler than you might think. No matter what industry you're in or how big your team is, everything a manager does can be boiled down to just 5 core functions. You can think of them as the 5 essential pillars that hold up any successful project. And just like any good construction project, you have to start with a solid foundation. For a manager, that foundation is planning. This is where it all begins. Honestly, this is where success is often decided, way before a single task even gets assigned. And look, planning is so much more than just making a to-do list. It's really about strategic foresight. It's about looking into the future, deciding exactly where you want to go, and then, and this is the crucial part, drawing the map that's going to get you there. Yeah, this is what it's all about. A great manager isn't just reacting to problems all day. They're proactive. They act first by defining what success even looks like, setting that goal. And then they chart the course, even anticipating the bumps in the road before they appear. Okay, so the foundation is set. What's next? Well, you've got to build the framework, the structure itself, and that brings us to our next 2 functions, which are so connected they really go hand in hand: organizing and staffing. Here's the easiest way to think about the difference. Organizing is like being the architect. You're designing the structure, figuring out who reports to who, and deciding where all the resources go. Then comes staffing. That's all about finding the master craftspeople to actually do the work, hiring the right talent, training them up, and making sure it's a place where they actually want to stay. So, you've got the plan, you've got the structure, and you've got the team. Now what? Well, now it's go time. This is where we get to our 4th function, where the manager basically switches hats from architect to, well, the on-site leader. This is all about directing. This is that magic moment when the blueprint on paper starts to come to life. Directing is all about igniting that spark, getting the work started, giving people the guidance they need, and just building that forward momentum. And this is really that day-to-day leadership in action. It isn't just about barking orders. It's about clear communication. It's about keeping the team motivated and fired up. And yeah, it's about jumping in to course correct when you need to, just to keep the whole thing moving forward. But let's be real, projects never go exactly as planned. That's just life, right? So every good blueprint needs quality control. And that brings us to our 5th and final function, controlling. This is all about making sure the thing you're building actually ends up looking like the thing you designed. Now, I want to be super clear about something. The word controlling sounds a little intense, but this isn't about micromanaging or breathing down people's necks. Not at all. It's about having a system to measure your progress against the plan. Are we on schedule? Is the quality up to snuff? Are we on budget? Controlling is how you get the answers. And it's definitely not a one-and-done thing, like some big final inspection at the end. It's a continuous loop. It's a cycle of checking in, seeing how things are going, making little tweaks and adjustments, and then checking in again to make sure you're still on course. You can actually break this whole feedback loop down into 4 really simple, repeatable steps. First, you set the standard. What does good even look like? Second, you measure what's actually happening. Third, you compare the 2. And fourth, you take corrective action if things are off track. It's a super simple but powerful cycle. Okay, so let's zoom out and put all these pieces together. We've just walked through all 5 functions, but the real secret sauce, the real magic here, isn't in mastering just one of these skills. It's about mastering the entire system. Honestly, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. A truly great manager doesn't just do these things in separate boxes. They weave them all together into one cohesive strategy. The plan informs the organization, which empowers the right people who are then directed into action, all while that controlling process makes sure you actually hit the goal. It's all connected. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. In today's world, with everything changing so fast, remote teams, AI popping up everywhere, which one of these 5 timeless functions, planning, organizing, staffing, directing, or controlling, which one do you think is the toughest for a modern leader to master right now?